What's up, YouTubers? It's Johnny Valentine here with Gain Solar, and I'm just gonna give you a rundown and a walkthrough of our latest job. This is almost a little over 17 kW of grid tie and grid tie battery backup solar on this customer's location. He actually built the building specifically for it. I'm gonna take you on a tour. I'm gonna show you this 7 kW grid tie solar array. I'm going to show you this 10 kW grid tie battery backup power system. If you're watching this video and you can comment for me, please do comment. Tell me what you think of the quality. If I need to abandon and go to a recorded format and upload later, I will, but it's always easier if I can just do it live. So here's David Armstrong. How's the quality of the video? And he's going up with a drone. The big boss is playing with his toys. Playing with his toys. Hey, nice toy! He'll never grow up. He'll always be a kid. So, hey, I kind of went live, dude. Trying to go live here and your camera's just killing me. Yeah, well, you're the buzz.
I'll go high.
Let's go up there for a second. He'll always be a toy. Nobody knows this about this guy, but he's just a big kid. He's always playing.
Rodney's fault.
All right, so this is a 7 kW system. It's mounted on one of these, how do I say it, affordable metal buildings. And you can see it don't get much easier than that, folks. When you got purlins like that, you find them, you hit them, you're in. So, or purlins or structural members, whatever you want to call it. We use just standard Snap and Rack. We use metal roof bases from Snap and Rack, and we use big old self tappers. I got some big old self tappers. I'll show you them in a little bit, but they're big. Put in a critical load or just a little sub panel in this garage for the customer. You can see that. Here's the SMA inverter. Inverter number 1. And this is a SMA making 3,000 watts right now. It's towards the end of the day. It's nice though, because you can see your AC disconnect. Thank you for saying it looks clean. Had to strut it. Had to do the strut kind of long to bridge both pieces of the structural member. And then she goes right back into that box and goes down into the ground and heads back to where the meter is. Let me take you in here and show you the power system. Used the Solarc again for our battery inverter, which you guys have seen us. Don't have to put that inverter inside, Mr. Andrade. The power companies want the inverters outside if you can do them. But it's an outdoor inverter, man. Why are you gonna give me a hard time about that? So there's that 10 kW solar array. And you can kind of see the metal roof bases. And we were zipping them in. So when they were putting up the metal building while we were here. So we got the Mexican guys that were putting it up to lay out our purlins based on the mounting holes of the module. So you can see where the purlins are spaced on there versus here. That was a pretty sweet move. And then you can see our big screws versus their little screws. There's one of the big screws. There's the little screws. So I mean, I would totally want one of these buildings. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna lose you guys when I go into this Faraday cage or not. If I do lose you, here's our system, our big old battery. So there's our Solarc and our Deka Unity 2 1500 amp hour battery. That's a big old telecom battery. I mean, she's a big old girl. And this battery was kind of a battle to get installed, but We got her in. Nice battery like this. Thing is, you get all these super sweet bus bars, and you get shields, and it's good stuff. So this is a big old battery. We got our Solarc, which is our 8,000 watt EMP hardened grid tie battery backup inverter. That jerk still flying his drone around here. You're kind of a jerk. Oh, come on. Come on. You're killing my live video. He's a jerk. It's official. I'm gonna take you back in there in a second. First, I want to take you over here though and just explain this electrical. Partly because Scott's a jerk and he doesn't want to respect my live YouTube channel. You know, he's got 200,000 followers. I got 12. Who's counting, right? So this is a whole house backup generator, and this becomes a real issue when you do a grid tie battery backup system, because you want to be able to use that whole house backup generator to charge batteries when the grid is down, but you know that generator is going to turn on as soon as the power goes out, and you do not want to sell power to the generator with your battery backup system. So you have to figure out a way to get around the generator, to use the generator, a way to tell the solar that the generator is running and it's not the grid. So these are considerations you always want to take into consideration. That's not the right way to say that, but you always want to take your generator into consideration, your automatic transfer switch, because if the generator ever gives power to the input of most grid tie inverters, you're going to have a problem. This is not the case with the Solarc, and they will not tell us why, but the Solarc can tell that the generator is running and it won't sell to the generator. So we actually have our Solarc tied in. We've got a 90 amp breaker in this panel. So the power comes in from the grid, goes through here, goes into the top of the generator switch, comes out of the bottom, feeds into this 200 amp breaker, and then feeds into a panel in the house. We've also got a 90 amp breaker snapped into this panel, feeding into this, and this is a combined Solarc grid tie battery backup and sub panel in the metal building. So we put a metal building in the sub panel, or we put a panel in this, I'm sorry, we put a sub panel for the grid in the metal building, as well as a sub panel for the Solarc critical loads. I don't know if you guys if I explained that well or not, but you can combine your AC disconnect and a sub panel if you have to. That's something that they allow. And then here, what I did is the same thing was happening here. The grid was coming in, feeding into the top of this transfer switch, coming out and feeding a 200 amp panel. Well, I just took that whole 200 amp panel and made it all critical loads. So I've actually taped these feeders up. No, they do not want to lose power. I've taped these feeders up, and now the SMA inverter ties directly in to the grid. The generator's not going to turn that. This thing is tapped onto the grid side in that panel. So that's a lot of explaining, I know, and I probably didn't do too good of a job to do it. But yeah, they got the heat. You can see they're running heat pumps. We're in the south. They got a generator. They got a Rinnai. And a lot of times it's easier if there's two electrical panels. You can bust some moves. So we tried to make our work look, you know, symmetric and look as good as we possibly could. A lot of time, just wherever the bar is set, you kind of gotta get there with that and do a little better. You can see that we've already got our generation meter in place. We passed our inspection probably a month ago. And now I'm gonna take you in here since Mr. Hey, puppus. There's a puppy. Poor puppy. Are you gonna fly it? Excuse me. Hey, I'm gonna be going live. Do I need to do anything for you? Do I need to do anything special for you while I'm live?
Just stand under that noise.
Jerk. What a jerk. What a jerk. All right. You're doing it again. So So here's the Solark. One of my favorite things about the Solark, of course, is the intuitive screen. It's just easy to understand what's going on. And if you want to know in depth, you can see all your numbers. You can even see the load in the house. You can see what your inverter's making, what you're selling to the house, what this critical load panel's using, draw on the battery, what the solar's doing. It's all right there. So like I said, back there where I was showing you, this is a grid panel, and then I have a 50 amp breaker in this grid panel, and that's feeding the input. It's feeding the transfer switch, and then I have the grid feeding the other side of the transfer switch, and then the transfer switch feeds the input of the Solark. So if I need to bypass the Solark, I can. And then although Solark says that the relays will, if they ever do fail, they'll fail in the position where it's bypassing the grid. And then the output of the Solark comes out and it feeds right here. So what we have is we have a critical load panel, and then the second critical load panel is feeding the critical load panel in the house where all the essential loads for the house is. So all in all, this job went pretty well. If anybody's got any questions about this kind of stuff, peace out. Mr. Jason Andrade. Thank you for watching this live Gain Solar video. If you're looking for a system like this, trying to find an installer, we can do it for you. This is what we specialize in. I've seen where other companies, just seems like you keep hearing stories about other companies struggling with these grid tie battery backup systems, but we prefer to do this kind of work, and we try to do it really clean and really nice. So bust a move for us live. What kind of move do you want busted? See, people want moves busted, but they won't tell you what kind of moves. Like a dance move. So anyway, that is the system, and this is the end of the Gain Solar tour. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe to these videos. Sorry for the live, but man, what a jerk. He's a jerk. I'm gonna jerk that thing right out of the air. You knew I was coming for it with your playing.
Catch me.
You got anything to say about this install before I turn off the mic going live?
It's an awesome install. Aren't you enjoying it, Bon? This thing is just, look at that thing in sport mode go.
You're playing. We're supposed to be working and you're playing. Look at it. Oh, you're gonna hit a tree. You'd have been a little bit disappointed if you hit that tree, boss.
Look at that thing.
Look at that. That thing does fly. All right, Scott wants to show off his drone flying.
She gone. She gone.
They want to see your screen.
Oh, okay. See my prompt.
Really see.
You can't see it?
You can see it. Wow. Yeah, you can see it now. Look down at the solar, will you?
Well, I'm a mile away from the solar,
come
boss.
on.
There's solar right there.
There.
Right there.
I'll come back.
Coming back. High speed.
He's really flying that drone. This is pretty postmodern. All right, guys.
Oh,
This is Johnny Valentine with Gain Solar. We're going to sign out before the FCC. Who comes at you after you?
FCC, FAA.
The FAA comes after us flying this drone. There's that solar though.